In the story creation ecosystem, worlds are created by two separate, yet equally important groups. The worldbuilders, who envision the world and its intricacies, and the storytellers, who bring their world to life. This is their podcast. Writing The Final Frontier. These are the short stories of the Bibliorbis podcast. Its several-hour mission: to create strange new worlds, to build new characters and new civilizations, to boldly go where no world builder has gone before.
Now, we are now recording. We are now live. Well, we're not live.
Awesome. Okay. Hun, will you start us off with prayer?
Well, why a prayer?
Okay, go ahead and lead us in prayer. I'm just kidding. Okay.
So, yeah,
Oh man.
we've all read
Oh,
this
no.
one. We all know what it says in that. Yeah.
Let's
So-
go to Colin's first because it's better than mine, and then we can
I
read
feel
mine.
like I lack value in this.
You do not lack value, and if you think you don't, that's your problem.
I mean,
Sorry.
you did write the
Yeah,
original
yeah,
section.
He's talking to you.
It's because I don't. It's struggling to comprehend. Like, how do I put tentacles on a deer? It kind of makes sense. Like a prison planet, blah blah blah. You can say that they're not given with any like human technology, like aliens given to them, and the radiation from the spaceships have been aliens. The deers grow like tentacles and stuff.
I love the way your brain works.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm off my meds for a very long time.
We don't really need any. We don't really need any tentacles. I've already seen enough anime, so let's
No, it's just
move.
I dabble with a different kind of writing. I mean, this is good. Like, I appreciate the challenge, though. This is nice. I like this. I just don't feel very valuable. Like, I'm sorry if I'm not helping.
Oh no, you're not a problem. How shall we begin, Carbon?
Well, first of all, we shall begin with who has actually read this part that Colin wrote.
I mean,
I've
I've
read
read
it.
mine and contains.
Sorry. I have a lot going on, okay?
Yes,
Okay.
that is the 2020.
Fun, have you read this one?
I've read
No, he
like the
died.
first
Let me-
and I
This is City.
It's on
Please.
Carbon's stream.
Well,
Let me-
about half of it is.
Let me put my game into a windowed version.
Oh my gosh.
That's the end of it.
I downloaded it.
Yep, that counts as reading.
Yeah,
That
yeah, I read
downloading
part of it. I
counts as
read the
reading.
beginning.
We're gonna shame you. Okay, here's the deal: is
Oh.
that technically this thing isn't supposed to start for another 6 minutes. So, and this is really short. We can just read it out loud so everyone has the benefit.
You think I can read this in actually? I can read it in 5 minutes technically, because average reading speed is 100 words per minute. So yeah.
Okay, we don't need this. Just read it.
Okay, fine.
We're doing it live.
Okay, everyone's read this bit, right, though?
Yep.
Yeah.
Except for Rotemkin, whatever her name is.
Rotem. Rotem.
Why are you guys
Rockism?
struggling with my name?
I mean, I haven't even said it yet
Colton?
because I don't tend to refer to people by their names. I just don't.
He's
Can
avoiding
you-
it intentionally.
The real question is here: can you pronounce my name?
Rotem.
It's just Rotem.
Rotom.
Rotem.
Rotom.
I rolled the R. God damn you.
I wrote them all.
wanna
This
be
is
named-
a.
I don't know why I
I'm confident
rolled the
This
R.
is a made-up accent. Let's
Like, which
go
one of you
ahead
guys
and
is the
read.
American?
If you don't begin reading, I will read the whole thing in this made-up accent from no country in particular for Rotom's sake. Okay?
Wait, I have a question.
Oh jeez.
All right, which one of
Maybe
you
we have
guys is
no.
the American?
That would be
Oh, great.
Cordain, myself am an American, and then Pun is
gonna
also.
be back.
He's 3/4.
One of them. Okay, the biggest.
Continue without me.
Like,
I must go.
I will wait until we are finished. And they're finished.
Okay.
My biggest dream is to become famous in America. Like, my childhood dream ever since I was little was to be like on talk shows like Conan and Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. And I always wondered,
Ew.
like, you know how like Americans struggle with Gal Gadot's name?
Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
Oh, good, good, yeah.
I don't know why they should struggle with it, but yeah.
Well, because it's that sound that's like the only English speakers I know that use that sound are
Don't know.
Scots.
It's just
Gadot. It's
Gal Gadot.
Yeah, but they pronounce it like Gal Gadot.
We also have the issue with us having read it first before we've seen it pronounced, before we've heard it pronounced. Like I said wrote them perfectly up until I read it. So anyway, Carbon, please take us off this tangent.
I am reading now, okay. It was just a normal escort mission. Nothing I haven't done before. Some of the criminals looked petrified, while others seemed to accept their fate. I could always see the emotions betrayed by their eyes, each and every time, but I couldn't imagine what was going through their minds. To be sent to a foreign place, a foreign country, let alone planet, for crimes that always seemed like a bit of a stretch to me. We will be landing in Casablanca in 20 minutes. The moment the announcement aired, I saw the slight hope that remained fading from faces all around. Casablanca was easily one of the worst places to be abandoned, for even the most hardened criminals. It was also in that moment that I saw her. The similarities were undeniable. With her red hair and freckles, she looked just like Sasha. They even had the same green eyes that seemed to pierce straight into your soul. I felt it. I felt my heart drop when I caught sight of the girl. But it couldn't be her. Even if Sasha had survived the accident, she would be 18 now, not the barely 15 or so that this girl might have been. I'm reading really badly today. I walked over to her in a trance-like state. Everyone around her seemed to blur into oblivion as my world narrowed to this child drawing closer. Do you need anything? Her voice was different, and now, looking closer, I could see that her eyes weren't actually green, but rather a bluish shade. And her nose was slightly different. Other than that, though, she was the spitting image of Sasha. You look just like... I discovered that finding the words was quite the task, especially after the horror of believing, if only for a moment, that my daughter might have risen from the dead, only to end up somewhere so much worse. Like who? She wondered, clearly confounded by the interaction. It doesn't matter anymore, I decided. What's your name? No. Sabrina, thank God. Okay, so that's the first part. Now we have Colin's second part. Oh, do we have any commentary on that hasn't already been said?
I doubt it.
It's really good. I like it. Nice dialogue. Great way to open things. What's the next step?
Well, the next step is to tell you that Dana wrote that. And so you are now complimenting your friend, which is illegal.
No? Okay.
Don't worry, she bullies me more than enough.
First of all, she's 100% right. Second, I love this woman more than anything in the world. She's like my sister.
Fuck off.
Fuck you.
And her name is Donald? You have the same last name as Trump.
What is it with you Americans and your inability to pronounce names? Like words. Put them together. What is wrong with you people?
Stop
Donald
bullying
wrote
me,
him. I don't understand what the problem is. Alright, go ahead.
Oh my goodness, pronounced my name right. Yay.
And let's continue.
We're making progress.
We're on to Colin's submission for the second part, so this continues from this directly. A deep sigh of relief escaped my lungs. She slightly tilted her head, giving her an even more confused look. How did you end up here? I didn't know why I asked. Small talk with prisoners wasn't something I usually tried, but in this case, I just couldn't help myself. Her gaze fell. It's not like you'd believe me anyway. It was hard to understand her through the noise of the craft. The fact that she was almost exclusively mumbling to herself didn't help either. I'd like to know, though. Why would I? She's not her. Just turn around and leave, you giant buffoon. To this day I wonder what might have happened if I had left. She now looked at me defiantly, her eyes slightly narrowed. It seemed as if she was trying not to cry. They framed me. They told me all I had to do was agree with them. They said it would be all right, but now I'm here. I didn't do it. I'd never kill someone. How could I even... With that, she resumed staring at the floor. Still, I could clearly see her tears starting to fall. 30 seconds to drop. The announcement rudely snapped me out of my trance. In 30 seconds, this girl would fall. Her restraints would open at the same time as a hatch beneath her. At that time, the dropship would be hovering a little under 2 meters from the ground. 20 seconds. It wasn't exactly a secret that many prisoners were injured by this procedure. However, this was a trade the authorities were willing to make for efficiency and the safety of the guards. 10. My emotions ran wild. The shock of her appearance still resonated within me. 9. I quickly ran through everything she told me, which to be fair wasn't a lot. 8. Prisoners trying to bargain wasn't unheard of, but they usually started it and I was the one who had approached her. 7. Looking around, I saw some of the other prisoners doing exactly that. 6. Until that moment I hadn't noticed it, but after hearing our destination, some of the prisoners were desperate. 5. I looked back at her. Her eyes were still pinned to the floor. 4. She lifted her head to catch my eyes once more. 3. Thank you for listening. 2. 1. One last tear ran down her cheek as the final order was broadcast. Drop. With that, she fell out of sight into the darkness and the rain. Instinctively, I leaped after her. I landed right beside her in the mud. Without another thought, I pulled her to her feet. Screaming, shouting in the drum of heavy rain engulfed us. Dense clouds covered the sun. Alongside the rain, they reduced visibility to near zero. Regardless, I started dragging myself and my precious cargo away from the drop zone as fast as I was able. As we clawed our way forwards, we tripped into a ditch. An instant later, searchlights began to sweep the area.
Very good, very good.
I love
Nice,
it.
Yeah,
nice.
me too.
Thank you for a good
And
submission, Colin.
especially the countdown.
This is really nice. The way that he like simultaneously like does the countdown
Yeah.
and like runs like things that he's thinking
The
about.
countdown is just I had chills at some point. This is really good.
And the dialogue from the girl is also, I think is good as well
Yeah.
when she's explaining herself.
My question to you guys is this is like the first part of the story, right? Like the first chapter, right?
It's a
This
short
will be a
story,
short story. So
This will be a
is
short story, yeah.
basically we're basically a third of the way through the story already, or something like that.
So the point of this
Yeah, right.
series within the podcast, which I didn't explain because we went on a tangent about Amish vampires, is that we are writing short stories to build up a world that someone else is writing a novel in. So in this case, this is Cordain's world that he's writing a novel in. And we're writing a short story to build basically the culture of this world, I would say.
Yeah, it's like a lore building exercise that's more fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of like
Like
Thought
imagine
put
when you
into this.
when you have a universe like
Kinda like DC.
imagine no, basically like imagine for example the Harry Potter universe. Harry Potter story is not the only story you can tell in that said universe. You can tell a lot of stories in Hogwarts. The
like
characters,
Mr. Glass and what's his name? That guy from Split.
I guess.
You're right.
Split.
And we know that J.K. Rowling loves to tell new stories about Hogwarts, namely through Twitter and making
Yeah.
tiny adjustments to the
Yeah.
story no one cares about.
Yep.
And she also claimed that wizards in Australia were mostly homeschooled because Australia didn't have a high enough population to have a wizarding school. Does she I don't think she realised that Australia has about half the population of the UK. So if you can have a giant castle as a school in the UK, I'm pretty sure you can have a wizarding school in Australia.
Oof.
I
Big
guess
oof.
it depends on which point in time she's referring to, or did she like explicitly mention like
Well, it's on...
right
Okay.
now? Basically.
This is a tangent. Let's
Yeah,
go
true.
back to our story.
Yeah, let's go back.
So
Tangent, bring it back.
what I would say about... I didn't realise I was highlighting that. What I would say about this is I like the intensity of the
Mhm.
of the storytelling. So there are short sentences. There's the intensity of a countdown, as was already mentioned, and so everything comes together to start off with an emotional atmosphere, and then have a very, very tense, adrenaline-filled atmosphere towards the end. And so the tone shift there is actually written quite well by Colin.
Thank you.
It also
Yeah,
I don't know, it connects in a really good way to like the previous part. Like it seems coherent. It's also like written in the same style sort of that it doesn't even look like it's written by two different people.
Fortunately, we have a how would you say, a style translator working for us.
Oh wait,
He's paid very well.
did Carbon edit this one too?
Yeah,
He did.
Although
I'm-
I think the strongest
this
parts are the
explains a lot.
countdown and the girl's dialogue.
I see.
Well, I didn't change any of the dialogue. The dialogue is
Boom.
identical to what it was.
He made it sound less awkward at certain sentences.
Certain places.
So,
Yeah, I translated the play, for example, I almost said from Israeli, from Hebrew to English, and like I wanted to keep this Israeli vibe going on, but at the same time, I think that it's really awkward at times.
That's why it's good to have an editor.
Lost in translation sometimes.
One thing I want to mention why, like another part that I like about this that ties into Cordain's world building is that the prisoners are ejected through hatches, which basically like emphasizes that Earth doesn't really care about them and ejects them like trash. So that's why I went with that.
They do not give a damn at all.
Good, I like it. Great.
Yeah, that's the International Penal Authority for you.
So now was Cordain's short story then, or
Cordain's. So I'll just remind everyone of the final couple of lines here. It doesn't matter anymore, I decided. What's your name? Sir, no. Sabrina. Thank God. So just reminding that's where it ends. And that is way too small. Oh, don't give me that. What the hell is that? Just goes, you are on a drawing tablet. Surely you want to write the percentage. Anyway. How old are you? Sabrina looked at me guardedly. 15. That someone managed to get a 15-year-old on a slave ship, or at least it might as well have been, based on its destination, mortified me, but it didn't entirely surprise me. It was a horrible thing, but it wasn't as if nothing like this had happened before. There was that 12-year-old boy who murdered his stepfather, but he landed in the Sulahar Desert, and was likely taken in by the inner sea peoples. The fate that awaited this girl made my insides crawl. Terrible and torturous images of what the Casablanis would likely use her for flashed through my mind. I shook my head, trying to do away with such thoughts. Why would a 15-year-old be sent to the bars? Why do you think? Blamed for a murder I didn't do. Sympathetic, but sharpened with an impertinent edge. Just like Sasha. Rovka.
Ooh.
I heard my name, and I spun around. Rovka, step aside. The restraints are about to rise, Sergeant Galo said. Right, of course. I backed away as the cords attached to the prisoner's cuffs automatically moved from the wall to the ceiling. The prisoners stood in rows, ready for touchdown. Sabrina breathed slowly and deeply, in through her nose and out through her mouth. Too many tears now dampened her cheeks, so much like Sasha that I couldn't help but feel a sympathy usually reserved for a parent. Yellow lights flashed by the broad ramp doors as a klaxon began sounding. 1 minute, Sergeant Galo shouted. I took my post to the left of the door, columns of prisoners lined up beside me. Mechanical clanking and hissing accompanied the lowering of the ramp door, letting in the first natural light we had experienced for some time. With a whoosh, hot dry air and swirling dust rushed inside, making a few of the prisoners cough as their lungs protested. A buzzer sounded, and the cords on the ceiling began to move, leading the prisoners outside. I stood in the ship as they marched. They hadn't even reached the tufted ground, and I could already see the dust storm near on the horizon. I could have imagined it was just that if I hadn't heard the low rumble of boots and a few errant whinnies cutting through the desert air. The Casablanis were early. As usual, the prisoners were corralled in their lines. Yeah, missed out a word there. Yeah, that's my fault. As usual, the prisoners were corralled in their lines. All 750 under our charge stood in blue jumpsuits. By the time they were all out, the Casablani cavalry had arrived. They wrapped around our flanks and began dismounting, jeering in their corrupted language. L'esquento de tierra. Nos teraxam, aporte, jurentes. Nuevas carne fresca. Translation: the people of Earth have brought us new toys and fresh meat. The cavalry commander rode right up to the ramp to speak with Captain Fetter. They exchanged a few words before the commander gave a gesture. Well, it's a captain, not a commander. Oh no, that's the... Well, I edited this, I should know.
Commander.
Yeah, cavalry commander. I should know that. They exchanged a few words before the commander gave a gesture and the Casablanes began sorting the prisoners. Casablanca wasn't the only nation that did this, but in a Casablanca custody, few prisoners lived long. Then Sabrina shouted. A Casablanca soldier pulled her from the sorting and said while laughing, "Una mula pour le moral." Translation, a woman for morale. She struggled desperately, but was soon forced, with 2 more women dragged away from the rest. I shouted to the Casablani through my translator, "What section is that?" "Privilegio divincitori or divincitori? Whatever," he answered with a grin. "Privilege of victors." Sabrina looked back at me, fear filling her eyes. My emotions flared, muscles tensed. And I snapped.
I am torn. They're both so good. Oh my god, I'm torn.
It's possible. My thoughts were after I read Collins, I really liked his, and there were a lot of strengths I really was jealous of, and I would be in favor of attempting some sort of merger, so long as we can identify what we need and what we like. But before we discuss that, let's discuss this piece individually.
I like how much you referred to like Sasha as an individual character, like to his past. I like how we've given him a name. First of all, he has a name now.
Rovka.
Yeah, he has a name now, which is.
I'm happy that he has a name. Yeah, that's good.
I like the ending where it actually like it gives like a lot of like room to go. I like how it's like and I snapped, and then we can, go.
We can go wherever we want from here.
We can go wild from here. Like we can do a lot of things.
That's actually the part that I would be most worried about.
I really like it. In like all in all, it's great. I love it. Sorry, I'm excited. It's really good.
I like the characterization for the Casiblanes. Or Casiblanes?
Casiblanes, yeah.
Casiblanes, yeah.
I like that they have a language, like that they actually like.
Yeah, what I did is I hopped on Google Translate and translated everything into French, Spanish, Italian, and Portuguese, and started throwing words together. Because it's corrupted language.
I had to do that to get the translations because he didn't provide translations in the original.
I wasn't going to provide translations.
It was kind of understandable, though.
I mean,
did you just go? How do I make Carbon's life harder now?
I didn't know he was going to translate. I figured it would just be there for spice for people, like an Easter egg for people who like could gather as many of the words as they could, and then he's like translating. I'm like, you fetcher! I wasn't going to translate that. Anyway, but I like Casiblanes because they're brutal and mean, and they have bad teeth. So, of course, it's not in the story. My bad. It looks like I just pulled a Rowling here, but yeah, in of course, with the Casiblanes, it favors me because it's my world and I knew who the Casiblanes are, so I had the inherent advantage on that very particular part. But there is like this. Colin, you said that you were worried about the open-endedness of it. Can you explain?
Well, okay, and he snapped. What happens then? Does he start mowing people down? What are the other guards going to do? I just can't see how this isn't going to end in a massacre.
That's up to us, isn't it?
So these were my thoughts because I have like the next 2 sections in my kind of like loosely in my brain because he's still in the ship. He's shouting across at this Casiblani cavalryman. My thoughts were is when he snaps, he hops off the ship. The other guards are like, "Hey, Rofka, what are you doing?" And he comes up to him and I don't know, like he slugs him, grabs the girl. Of course, there's a horse right there. And they can try to attempt to escape on a horse. Of course, there's other people with horses, so you might end up with like a Indiana Jones type, chase scene. That'd be kind of fun. And he also has like a rifle that electrocutes people and normal kills people too, so he can do either one with that thing. So it would be a massacre, and that would be awesome.
that kind of makes me think a little bit of the Steven Spielberg film that I don't remember the name of now. I think it might be called Drive or something. It was based on a short story. Basically, it's just there's a guy in a car and a guy in a truck, and they keep going faster, overtaking each other until eventually the truck crashes and explodes. Spoilers, by the way.
Yeah, I
Here's
don't.
the
I
thing,
wouldn't
though.
know.
Wouldn't
See-
they send at least a platoon to get the
Yeah. No,
prisoners?
so you have a legit thing here. So because like with the end of your story, it feels more like a fugitive story, right? Because
Yeah.
he's got her in his arms. It's muddy. It's raining. Or I imagine it's muddy. Oh yeah, you said there's mud.
Yeah,
It's
it is
raining.
muddy.
It's nighttime. They have to have lights. They can like hide and escape. You know, it kind of has like this fugitive sort of story, whereas mine's a little more open ended, but definitely leans towards something a little more aggressive.
So,
Um,
a comment that I wanted to make from the beginning with this is that there's an interesting contrast between these. That in Cordain's continuation, there's kind of a sense of foreboding throughout. So just like you could put the sound effect of like a heartbeat behind it, just like doof, 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 as it's going. It's a very significant sense of
oh,
foreboding.
like in the movies when they have that weird ringing the back sound that goes.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
turns out that's just a car, and it hasn't
Yeah.
downshifted yet.
And then it leads into a thriller. Whereas Collins has the intensity of a thriller and leads into a fugitive story that's more of a foreboding story. So they're actually kind of the reverse of each other.
It's true.
I mean, I can explain what I had in mind for the continuation of my part.
It matters.
Um,
So please share.
So, from what I have thought, they would be in this trench, covered in mud, and these sweeping lights go over the prisoners, and the Casablanis take them away. And then they make an escape towards... Is there any country... Well, I kind of assumed that there is a country where they could try to escape to that is
Sure.
less hostile.
Yeah.
Where's
There
the
definitely
map?
would be.
There's no map here.
Where is the map?
I don't know.
We had a map.
Maybe
Yeah.
far back that we can find one. Let me see if what I can find.
Yeah, we don't
Wow.
have a map here.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
anyway.
Okay, so back here in September, we have a sort of map.
Oh god. I have to go searching.
The 20th of September.
Yeah, that doesn't help me. Because I've opened these afterwards and
Oh, I was
Look
just going
through
through the participant chat. Let me, I cannot get you a fresh one. I cannot.
I will find it. Don't worry.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter where exactly they go to, but my idea was they make their way towards this other country that's better for them,
Mhm.
and on the way they run into some kind of Casablani,
I can't be bothered.
I guess prisoner, like trail or something like that, and he then. I mean, it's a smaller trail, like maybe 50 prisoners and 10 Casablanis, whatever.
Mm.
And he then decides to save them, killing the Casablanis, and then Sasha says, okay, you know what? Actually, I did kill this person, but it wasn't self-defense, and now that you killed people for,
Isn't Sasha the
for
daughter?
good... Huh?
Isn't Sasha,
Sasha
the
is the
daughter?
girl. Yeah, it's,
Oh,
Sasha's the
Sabrina.
daughter.
Sabrina, sorry.
Yeah, Sasha
Yeah.
is a murderer. That's why he misses her so much. That was a joke. Let's continue.
Yeah, and then Sabrina opens up because now she thinks, okay, this guy can also kill people when the circumstances are right, so now I can tell that to him. And then the short story basically ends with him bringing those prisoners into that other country, and, well, I guess from there on out it doesn't matter too much.
Yeah. I can tell you we can, the two countries that I think of that border Casablanca is we can go with Fortana, which is a meme of Italy, or we can go with Alabast, which is a confederation of countries. So do you want to go to do we want to go to Pizza Land or some other place? Some other place. Sorry.
I guess the same question applies to your story anyway, right?
Yeah. Well, like when you have that third continuation, like that thing where she opens up because he's now killed, that has a poeticness to it that I think is good. I like the idea of them like falling in the mud and him grabbing her. And I'm trying to think if there's alterations. I'm trying to think of alterations we could make to mine or alterations we can make to yours that would try and pull some of the advantages of the other.
Sorry, where's Alabast?
In this map, it's going to be called Zynet, which is east.
That one.
It's been
thought
it becomes called the Zynet Empire, but for now it's called the Alabast Alliance.
I kind of came up with this track basically after I read yours, because one strong suit of your continuation, in my opinion, was the characterization of the Cassiblans, and we would get that with this basically freeing of this smaller prisoner thing.
Because you can see them treating them poorly or wanting to use them for distasteful purposes other than just slave labor.
Yeah, exactly. And there was another point, but I just forgot it. Oh, well, I guess the name, we can also use the name, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the name Sasha, and I was like, whenever I hear the name Sasha, I always get weird Russian vibes. And I was trying to think of any word I could think of in Russian, and I know zero, except for the one battle of Provkorovka, and so I just chopped the end off. And,
What, you don't know the word suka balat?
No, well, I wasn't gonna name him Privyet, okay? I do know how to say doctor in Russian. It's doctor.
Is it really doctor?
Doctor.
Okay.
Okay.
Come on, dude. I play video games. I know how to say doctor in Russian.
Wait, did I miss someone speaking Russian?
Oh, I speak
you
it
missed?
mostly fluently.
I speak Russian fluently. It's fun. It's a great language. It's horrifying, but it's fun.
And it has no
It
connecting
is
words.
horrifying.
Oh,
Whenever I
There's
get
7 different types of way to say stuff. It's weird. It's a doozy.
Whenever I say a Russian word, I have this weird feeling like I just want to go seize means of production. Anyway, let us.
I would like to
let's
have one
get
more
back on
point.
track.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, Cordain's story definitely focuses a lot more on characterization than Colin's. Well, his continuation. And Colin's definitely focuses more on tone and just general storytelling.
Can I take Sabrina's dialogue and just steal it and just take it and just stick it in mine? Whenever we have Sabrina respond to my story, I just want to replace it entirely with whatever Colin wrote because that was way better. I was when I saw his, I was like, I would have done that, but I already ran into 550 characters and I couldn't write anymore. And I was like, crap, I can't just throw it in there. So that's an alteration I would make because I just think that can be easily just cut and put in because his dialogue from Sabrina was stronger than mine.
Honestly,
and it's
I'm
easily
just
transferable.
Such a lot for characterization. Like, yes, give me more characters. Give me inner dialogue. Yes.
My suggestion would have basically been to put like a good chunk of what Cordain wrote from a like general point of view after mine, because I think most of the things could also be placed like, okay, they are now out of the ship in my thing. Then Sabrina asks him, "Why did you do that?" And then he can talk about like this 12-year-old boy and these
That's
like
true.
world building aspects that
With
you
just
put
a
into
little
your...
bit of editing. With just a little bit of editing,
Honestly,
it's possible.
Honestly,
That's
regarding
true.
the ending at least. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
regarding the ending and the ending alone, I like Cordain's ending better, simply because this decision of like running away is driven strictly by emotion. He looks at Sabrina and he sees his daughter. So I don't feel like it would be like a sneaky fugitive situation. I feel like he would just snap and he would just like take her and run away. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's like the vibe I'm getting simply out of like the emotional outburst.
Here's the thing where I would think that mine is better in this regard, because in mine he keeps on looking at her, thinks about why is she here, and just has like the connection between him and her is a bit more focused, I would say.
That's true. That's true. And I think if your dialogue between them is a little better. There's a what is it? There's a foreshadowing that is what do you call it when foreshadowing comes up later and it's confirmed? What do you call that? Is there a term for that?
That would be a Chekhov's
Isn't
gun.
it foreshadowing?
Say it again, Carbon.
That would be a Chekhov's gun.
Okay, so there's a Chekhov's gun. So the Chekhov's gun goes up on the wall when he's trying to like get out of his mind what he thinks they're probably going to use her for and do to her, and then he actually then later sees, what are you going to do with her? And they basically just say exactly what you were thinking we're going to do with her, and that's what like kind of like, you know, I think that sort of Chekhov's gun would also be helpful. My thing, like I said, is that we can use one or the other, but I think we can also do a lot of work to merge some of them, because you can take his dialogue from Sabrina, stick it in mine, or you could take the story of the 12-year-old boy, stick it in his. You could also put in his Chekhov's gun of imagine knowing the Casablancas are cruel, and knowing she's a female. Easily add that to Collins with some proper editing. Like Colin said, we could take the characterization of the Casablancas, chop it off the bottom of mine, and stick it in a third continuation or a third section that would follow after his. I mean, I think all of that is possible, so we can get the best of both worlds. Most of that in this continuation, and then a bunch of it we can save for the third section or the second continuation. You guys feel me?
By the way, I was thinking like about the way we ended in that way he would discover, and maybe like when we first talked about it, when we first like started brainstorming this specific thing, I remember we said that he would basically, people from Earth would be trying to find him, right? We talked about whether it would happen or not. So I'm thinking maybe a certain guard would like find them, and he would defend Sabrina. He would be like, "No, you don't know what you're talking about. She was framed," and then they would like literally show him about like her not being framed, and then he would just
make it so the reveal comes from an outside source rather than from her, making her seem more dishonest.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a good idea.
That works well. Especially since they could have just really advanced tech, the people from Earth, and basically like they could just go, okay, I'm just gonna search our database for this, and I'm just gonna flip out a screen from something I'm wearing on my forearm, and I'm just gonna show you directly right now of literally a video of her doing it.
Yeah.
Like, imagine the betrayal.
I would think though, with Cordain's ending, I would imagine the people from Earth to just, what is this idiot doing? Gun him down, because they would probably don't want.
Yeah, they don't care.
God. Yeah. So.
Oh, if he wants to volunteer to go to Prison Planet, be my guest. Bye. That sort of attitude.
That could also work.
So there's a third idea. The third idea is that Earth still has a strict policy of no, like, guards can't stay on the planet. But the concern isn't if this dude wants to stay, that's fine. But currently he's wearing on his body technology that is specifically prohibited by the International Penal Authority from being on the planet. This is not allowed, and we have to recover the technology. If we take it off his body and leave him naked in a ditch somewhere, we don't care. We just can't let the Bartians get their hands on any of our technology. So either they can send other Earthlings, or my original idea when we first concepted this story was on the planet you have all of these somewhat primitive peoples that are increasing in technology solo, but you also have the seed colonists that are there that have basically Earth tech, but they're isolated on their island. But there are times when the penal authority tells the seed colony, "Hey, we need you to do us a favor." And it could in the seed colony, they're almost like, while this whole world is in like the year 1900, the seed colony, when it comes to international politics, is in Europe 1970 with spies everywhere
Would
trying
they
to
really trust them with it? That's the question.
Trust who? Trust the seed colonists with the technology?
Yeah, it's like, hey, yo,
Well,
get
well-
this man back.
well, see, this-
What makes what
Oh,
like
okay.
what guarantees them that they won't take the technology for themselves or sell it?
Well, because they
for
don't
a
care. The
bigger
seed
price?
colony can have whatever technology they want, because that was part of the initial agreement. Is like, so long as you're isolated, and you don't interact openly with any of the penal colonists and their descendants, you can do whatever you want. And they have nuclear weapons, they have nuclear power, they have holograms and AI. They're just not supposed to interact with the rest of the world. I mean, they do, because this is what nations do. So that was my thought, was to, while they're traveling, they come upon someone that is like, "Oh, hey, I'll help you," and it's like the kind old man that you could never distrust, and he like takes them in and hides them, and it turns out he's a seed colony agent, and he's there to get the technology from Rovka. But Rovka doesn't know he's just trying to get the tech, so you could have some sort of conflict there, and so we could do something like that. That was one of my initial conceptions, and
That would make sense, but then I would also argue that my ending would make a bit more sense then, because if the penal authority doesn't want any tech there on this planet, then I guess the guards who are on the ship right now would have the duty to bring him back immediately.
true.
So, With
Well,
mine, he's basically sneaking out without anyone really noticing.
Well, and we could do a combination, because if it's a short story, it doesn't have to be only like 2,000 words, because we have a hook, right, with the first bit that we got from a normal person. Then we have this continuation, which is the inciting incident, and then in my brain, the way I formulate stories, we would have up to 5 more pieces. We would have a pinch, which is where things get really difficult. And then for the third part, the fourth part would then be the reveal, where she's like, "Oh, actually, I did murder them, but it wasn't murder; it was self-defense, yada yada." She tries to defend herself. And then you have a fifth part, which is a second pinch. So the first pinch could be they discover these prisoners, that are being taken, and Rovka goes, Rambo on them, and then the next bit is her informing him, and the other stuff around that. The fifth bit, which is the second pinch, would be them, encountering either could be them encountering the Earth Authority, and they reveal to him, or however they want it to be revealed. They try to capture him, and he's able to avoid them as well. And then you have the sixth part, which is if the pinch 2 is the jaws of defeat are gaping wide after the character, then the next bit would be the power is in you, and you have the power to save yourself, and that's where he's rescued by this old man. And then the resolution would be, so long as you give me your stuff, I will let you go, and I might even help you. And that the resolution could be them, slinking away into, not slinking, but it could be them, walking away into the sunset, knowing that that they'll be taken care of and that they're hidden, they're on their way to this country that will protect them, and the Earth Authority will no longer be after them. Now, those are general, so there's a lot of room to work within that kind of format, and we don't have to do that. That's just how I envision how a lot of stories go, regardless of the length. Of course, in a short story, I envision this to be about like 4,000, 5,000 words total when we get it all the way to the end. If each section is 500 words large, and then you beef it out in certain places.
Would have thought so too, yeah.
So I'd like to point out that what you just described was the hero's journey.
Partially. I refer to this as the 7-point plot structure, which does have elements of the hero's journey. Yes, it does.
Especially here, here, and here.
Yes.
These two are less hero's journey.
Yeah, those are the first pinch is a tri-fail cycle to increase tension and to show things are difficult. The reveal is the turning point. This is where the character turns from reaction to action. So he's just trying to escape, and then as soon as he learns, she tells him, "Actually, I did kill them, but it was self-defense." His motivations are now different, and so he has to. So the mental situation is different, right? But also we could also have some other change where on the ground, where the rubber meets the road, that situation is different. So now he has to go from, I'm no longer trying to run away. Now I have a place I'm trying to actually get to, if that makes sense.
Personally, I like the ending of like the betrayal, where like in the very end, the reader is already invested, like because it fucks up the reader. The reader is already invested in the story. He's invested in those characters. Invested in the 15-year-old girl who was framed for murder and was sent to an entirely different planet for a murder she supposedly didn't commit. We're invested in the father who lost his daughter and now is connecting to this child. And then when the reader finds out, together with the father, that she has been lying the entire time, that she actually did commit murder, that leaves and to leave it at that leaves the reader with such an impact, such betrayal. And like the ending might not be good, but like I don't think that for an ending to be good it has to be good. It just has to satisfy the reader.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really satisfying. That
Well,
it's satisfying way to the reader. It's just
That's a good
I
point,
want,
and
like the reader would be like with a surprise Pikachu. Yeah.
Okay, tell me what you think of this then. Tell me what you think of this adjustment. Okay, so we have pinch 1 where he kills Casablanca to rescue other prisoners, and instead of a reveal, it's instead a turning point where he goes from reaction to action, because then he's like, okay, we can't just escape. We need to find a place to actually go to. And then for pinch 2 is when the Earth Authority comes after him, but he escapes, and there's still no reveal. And then it's only when he's confronted with this kind old man who is just there from the seed colony to get the technology. It could be that, like, almost like in passing, like in that one of the like in a clever way, he's like, "Oh, did you also know?" Like he thinks that everything's done. And okay, here you have new clothes, here's an identity, here's a little bit of money and some food, and here's some instructions on how to get to the place. He thinks everything is perfect until finally he gives him that revelation. And so the resolution could be either he tells him that and then it ends, like he gives like a short reaction, then it ends to leave you on like that cliffhanger, that emotional cliffhanger, or you can actually like have it hashed out between Sabrina and Rovka, like, I'm all the way here and you lied to me. You know what I mean? You could do something like that.
Here's a question I have about Sabrina that we should like get a
We need to
definite
nail down.
answer
Is
on.
she a teenage witch? That is the question.
Oh gosh.
Did she actually commit murder, or did she kill someone in self-defense? Because that's making a huge difference in what kind of person she is and what kind of ending we're gonna get.
I'm in favor of leaving it unknown, that she's like, I didn't, like, it was self-defense, but like when if say, you know, Rovka,
Yeah, but we still need to know for us to write it.
Like, it could be like it was
I don't
self-defense,
know.
but was it like she could be
throughout the story they could be running to like many dangers, and maybe she could save him in a way that like she sort of like shows a true face, quote unquote, like a very scary sort of face, or like complete blatant disregard for human lives.
I'm just asking because I
Mm.
think it's relatively rare and for me a bit unimmersive that a 15-year-old, maybe when she did the murder, 14-year-old just straight out murdered someone. I think
So
killing someone in self-defense would be more
I'm
reasonable.
playing video games.
I'm
I
going to
blame Fortnite.
Oh my
remind you
gosh.
of the
Get outta
Slender Man
here.
murders. Or I'm going to remind you of the Slender Man murder in America, where two 12-year-old girls murdered their friend.
I love that case. It's fascinating.
And then they
Yeah,
claimed
I love
that,
it when people get murdered. What's wrong with you?
And
Anyway,
then they claimed that the
It's-
Slender Man
it's
made them do it.
interesting. I'm sorry, I put it the wrong way.
Yeah, but
um,
that's one case. I think
I'm just
we
saying
could we
it
could
can
we could.
happen.
What's the
it
word
can
for
happen,
it?
sure.
What's the term for it's not clear? Like it's
Ambiguous.
Plausible?
Yeah, we can make it so that to her, from her perspective, she is not a murderer. Like she has that conviction. She's not lying to herself. She is not a murderer. But it could be that at the time that she killed this person, there was a piece of information she didn't have. That if she would have had, she either would not have killed them, or if she had killed them, it clearly would have been murder. So it could have been like it's perceived self-defense, something like you get what I'm saying. Like, so say I hear a noise in my house and I go into my kitchen and there's a dude in my kitchen with a knife. You know, there's a very good chance I'm just going to shoot that guy and kill him. But it could also be that, and this was a real case where a guy came downstairs and he found this person. He was cutting tomatoes on the counter, and when he confronted him, the guy looked at him, said, "I am Jesus Christ," and then ran out the door. The guy nearly shot him, but it turned out the guy was diabetic, and he was going through ketoacidosis, and it was basically making him have a mental a freak out.
So
you could have a situation like that where it's ambiguous.
So
that
this
to
has just
her,
made
she was-
me have a very, very horrible, tragic idea for what could have happened. So,
I like horrible, tragic ideas.
Imagine we have a man about 40 years old, relatively tall, and somewhat well built. So this
Are you
is
talking
just...
about yourself?
No, I'm not 40.
Sorry.
I'm just saying
Sorry, I couldn't
this
help
is
it.
to make
It was
them more
sitting on the table.
This is to make them more threatening.
Okay.
So what happened is that they had a son or daughter who they were having a game with. There was a son or daughters in primary school. They're playing a game in the park, and say they have Nerf guns, but the Nerf guns look like real guns, but they're not actually. And then the son or daughter is murdered in that park by someone else, and the person goes, and so the man starts running for help, but he's still holding the Nerf gun, and his hand's shaking, and his eyes are wide, and he's horrified, and he's just running down the street. And Sabrina sees this man, and she goes, "Oh my God, he's going to kill me." And so as he's going towards her, looks like he's making a beeline for her. That's what it looks like to her. She goes, "Oh my God, I need to stop him because he's going to kill me." And then she kills him.
Pulled out an
perceiving
Uzi
it.
and mows him down.
Well, say she
Sorry.
punches him in the throat. You punch someone in the throat, you do it right. It can...
I don't think a 15-year-old can punch someone in the throat hard enough for him to die.
It's possible
Have you
with an
watched
adrenaline rush.
Jojo?
Wrong.
Or alternatively, he could fall down from the punch because
Yeah.
he's kind of shocked. He hits his head on a stair in front of a house or something, cracks his head,
Or
he
there's
dies.
a big stick on the ground and it stabs him.
I feel like cracking his
To
head
be
open
fair,
sounds better.
I don't know how hard a 15-year-old can punch. Okay, once a pigeon was on my windowsill, and I wanted to get rid of it because I'm scared of pigeons. They're disgusting and scary, but that's not the point. So, like, I hit the window with the palm of my hand, not too hard, and the window just shattered. So, yeah, maybe
him.
Well, another
I think-
option is there's like a brick on the footpath behind her or something, behind him or something, and when she hits him, he hits the brick, falls over, hits his head.
Oh, I know. Okay, I have a good idea. Okay, the brick thing reminded me. What if she's doing a stunt for Instagram and throws a brick out of her balcony and it just hits her?
What?
I don't think that
Why?
that would be
You know what,
manslaughter.
Don't you remember that Canadian chick that threw a chair out the window and then landed on the highway? Like
that
20
would be-
stories
No,
down.
I
Then she
haven't-
would have been
I haven't
charged.
actually heard that one.
Then she would have been charged with manslaughter, not murder.
Yeah, you guys discuss this. I'll be right back.
But I just think
okay.
I just think my idea is a horrible, tragic thing just because she went, oh my god, this guy is going to kill me, and then causes his death. But the thing is, he was running for help because his child had just been murdered.
I mean, does she have to be charged with murder? I mean, she could have been charged with manslaughter. Either way, someone must have died, and
yeah.
she got charged for it. So it doesn't have to be murder, I don't think. Because murder,
Yeah.
as far as I know, one of the properties of it is that usually it's intentional,
Yeah,
which
it is intentional.
I
Yeah.
don't, which is kind of rare for children
Crimes of
to
passion are
intentionally
still
kill
a
someone.
thing.
Yeah, crimes
Like,
of passion are a
you-
thing.
Sure,
Yeah.
you can plan a murder. Sure, you can plan a murder. I could plan a murder now and like get how do I get rid of the body all methodically and like serial killer. But I can also be having a fight with my dad or something and just be like, you know what, I'm done with you. Grab a knife and just stab him in the throat, and that would
Yeah,
still
but
be
that's-
murder because they meant it.
Well, I mean, if we consider the American legal system, because their system is weird, they have first degree, second degree, and third degree murder. Third degree murder is manslaughter. First degree is premeditated. Second degree is crime of passion.
What do you mean by second degree is crime of passion?
Yeah, second degree is crime of passion in the moment you just intentionally murdered them, and then third degree is manslaughter. And
I
first
see.
degree is premeditated murder.
Yeah, I could see second degree murder for Sabrina, but first degree, I'm
Yeah, a 15-year-old.
just not a fan of that idea.
A 15-year-old planning to murder planning out a murder just doesn't seem reasonable. Because yes, it's happened.
Unless it's a sociopath.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, psychopath probably. Because a sociopath
Well,
wouldn't.
I'm antisocial.
Well, the thing with sociopaths is they would realize that it would be bad for them. They'd end up in prison, and so they wouldn't do it. Psychopath would.
And psychopaths tend to be
Aren't they
more
the same thing
socially
that was just,
adapted.
like one was born this way and the other one should be like this.
No, sociopath is a medical condition. Psychopath is a criminal condition. So psychopath
Or-
is technically diagnosed by a court.
Or you can make the
Really?
story even darker, and that is that she thought she was going to be assaulted by someone and defended herself. But there's no. How do you prove that someone was going to assault you?
Is
This
that
was
not?
Like, how do you prove someone was going to?
I'm pretty
This was
sure.
kind of my idea with it.
And in today's game of how much darker can we possibly get?
I normally wouldn't write a story like this. This is why you guys are writing this because
It's midnight and the lights are off.
I'm like I don't know. I don't even read this kind of story, but you could have it so that she has a relative who is going to abuse her, and she
Oh, no.
knows this. And next
You're
time
gonna
they
make
come
it
to her
enough,
room,
and I swear to
they
God,
kill him.
I'm
I was gonna say stepdad or brother or cousin or something.
Okay, how about something even
Hello,
worse?
Step, bro, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh god. How about something even worse? She's on a hiking trip, and someone's kind of horribly struck down with hypothermia. Someone in her family is horribly struck down with hypothermia.
To torture a 15-year-old child.
And then
she-
that family member
They
said,
take off their clothes to warm each other up.
no, no,
Ew!
no,
Ew!
that is not where I was
Gross.
going with that. That is not at all
No,
where
I
I
was
was going with
thinking,
that.
like, because the family member is like, I don't know if this would count as murder, but it's like, because you said they were on a hiking trip, right? And one of
Yeah.
them catches hypothermia or something. What
Yeah.
if?
And they're in
What
a
if they're
horrible
like
state.
super sick?
Like frostbitten hands and face and that, and they end up in a little cave, and then they basically just go, "Please just kill me," and she's going, "No, I can't."
Yeah,
do that.
that's what I thought.
And then
you're gonna make Sabrina commit euthanasia.
yes,
You know, when I first heard the term euthanasia, it was in a persuasive speech in high school. The problem is the student didn't define what euthanasia was, and I'd never heard the word. So I literally thought she was referring to youth in Asia, like young people in Asia. And I was so confused about what's so bad about having young Asian people in America.
We need more. There need to be more young people in Asia.
There's not enough young people in Asia. They don't, for some reason, they don't want to reproduce. It probably has to do with the
Yeah,
enemy
we have a
body
problem with that.
well, it probably has to do with
Anyway.
the one-child policy that China had, which is why they raised it to a two-child policy.
Yeah, Japan doesn't have that excuse.
Japan
Yeah,
has
Japan
the
and Korea
excuse-
don't have that excuse.
Japan has the excuse of having no space.
True.
Yeah, but that doesn't keep you from growing. That keeps you from growing, not from maintaining the population. Because the
I
population
feel
is
like
shrinking.
we're
Anyway,
going
wait,
on a
I don't want to get into the
We're on a
demographics.
tangent. Anyway, euthanasia. So Sabrina kills her family member because they asked her to.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And
still
she's
very illegal.
initially she's just going, "No, I won't do it," and eventually they convince her to do it.
Yeah, and
wouldn't
then
an
she gets
autopsy then see that this person who died had hypothermia?
Well, I mean,
But then that
if
begs the
she's
question of
if she
how
goes
did
around it,
Sabrina survive? Why wouldn't Sabrina just kill herself?
huh? Well,
Okay,
I mean,
so this person
I
has
feel
to
like
fall in the. In order for her not to have hypothermia, this person needs to fall in some cold water.
Yeah.
They're dying, and they have hypothermia. And yes, it will probably show in a what is it? What's the word?
Autopsy.
Autopsy that they had hypothermia. But the autopsy also shows their head was smashed with a rock. So she obviously killed them.
I think this is the fourth time you haven't been able to find a word, and we've had to give it to you.
I'm pretty sure I have a brain tumor. My wife tells me to stop talking about it, but yeah.
Anyway, I don't think that in this situation she would have been thrown or like put onto a spacecraft and thrown out onto a different planet for it.
You
I
haven't
think
met
that
the
would sort of
International
make
Penal
sense.
Authority, obviously.
Yeah.
how about that?
but
Mass
think
euthanasia.
self-defense- I would think that a situation where she used self-defense against some kind of political figure that was at least well known enough for people to care about, but not so like.
So
So
we're
Her
back.
uncle is the mayor of Chicago. How about that?
So we are back to the guy who just had his child murdered in the park, and now he is a significant political figure. Now she has killed a political significant figure who
Let's always
just
go back to the darkest option. Why would-
had.
Okay. Let's start from the top. Okay, her uncle is the mayor of Chicago and attempts to assault her, and she defends herself and kills him
With what?
Okay. What?
with a
Yeah.
knife. She knew
With a
this was.
stick.
She's worried, and or a pencil. She kills him with a pencil right in the eye.
Okay, John Wick.
What?
Some Joker vibes here, but sure.
I was thinking
mean, it-
John Wick, but okay.
I mean, it doesn't
She
matter
couldn't make
too
the body
much
disappear,
how
but she made the
who
pencil.
exactly she killed, as long as we know that it was in self-defense. But she did actually kill whatever person it was.
She likes whittling, and she's just got a whittling knife with her in her room.
I mean, a knife would be the
With a gun
most
attached.
probable-
Or
No, maybe we
alternatively,
can have.
there's an alternative to that. She could have just walked into her house. She has house keys because her parents gave her house keys. Uncle tries to assault her. She stabs him in the throat with house keys.
Or she runs to the kitchen and grabs a knife to defend herself, and he doesn't think she's gonna do it, and he thinks he can just like slap the knife away and whammo right in the chest.
There's any number of ways we could come up with a situation where she would.
Okay, so
Be
do you want it to be
justified
self-defense, or do you want it to be a mercy kill? I guess we don't have to do the specifics. We just need to right now. We just need to know: is it a mercy
At the
kill,
same
or was
time,
it
it's like
self-defense?
we were going for like a vibe of like there's a difference between killing and self-defense. It's like someone comes at me right now and I stab them in the head to kill them. It's okay because it's either me or him, but we needed it to not be a situation of specifically it's either me or him, because then she would actually be justified. We don't want her to actually be justified. We want the reader to feel betrayed. We want the main character to feel betrayed. and if it's actually justified to be betrayal.
Okay,
You
so
the
she says it was
betrayal is-
self-defense. She says it was self-defense,
for
but what she
example-
actually does is she's already been assaulted by this person, and so then, like, a week later, she knows they're sleeping and keeps the knife and stabs them.
Oh, so it's like a revenge kill.
Yeah, like a revenge killing.
Okay.
And so she can't
revenge
prove-
kill
so
is
it-
something I could.
So it's like, to her, she's defending herself because she knows this person is going to continue this pattern of abuse,
Yeah,
and she's already brought it to the authorities, but since they're a political
but
figure,
it's not
just
a
sweep it
near
under
him
the rug.
situation at the same time. Yeah.
Okay.
they
yeah,
just sweep it
yeah,
under the
that-
rug, and then she stabs them.
That would seem
Yeah.
pretty possible. Yeah.
Also, can we take
And-
swoops it under the rug in a literal way? Like, can she actually hide the dead body under a rug, please?
This is a very large person.
This
She's
is a very
hide-
large rug.
It's just, she goes, I swear, I swear the rug is just weird. It's just a weird rug
Okay.
with a
And-
bulge in
and-
it.
Can we
just to make
write
sure-
that down?
After
maybe?
years of like sweeping the floor and hiding all the dust under the rug, yeah, it's just piled up.
And just to make sure I avoid all the signs that would give this story a bad romance novel vibe, the man is
no.
not attractive or wealthy. Because if he's
Well,
attractive or wealthy, he's the good guy in a romance novel, even if he's even if he doesn't want consent. Anyway, that's a jab at romance novels. I'm totally in favor of her killing him so that she can prevent future abuse, because who wants
Right.
to be abused?
Yeah.
And because it's political connections, they sweep it under the rug, and it's like, oh, well, yada, yada, yada. She's already embarrassed because she already went to the authorities, and say her friends have isolated her, because despite, I have a lot of sympathy for people who are assaulted, because even when they do the right thing, they sacrifice a lot. Even when they turn it into the authorities, it's a trade-off, because you are now making it known to the world that you've been abused, and it's really embarrassing, even though it's not your fault. And so there's a lot of motivation for her. So for her, this is a preemptive strike to make sure that she's never hurt this way again. And she thinks she can find a way to hide it or defend herself in court, but she's 15 and naive, and her plan just doesn't work. And it's not
And at
informed
the
by the
same
real
time, it
world.
doesn't justify, murder.
Right. Right. So it is not justified. Like, in her brain,
Yeah, so exactly,
totally
which is
justified.
like exactly. So in her brain it's justified, but for the reader and for like the father, it's very good.
Right.
Like story wise.
So something that would
How do you
justify
call
it,
it?
something
Self-justice?
something that would justify it a little more in her mind, rather than killing him in his
like
sleep.
vigilante justice type of
Rather
thing.
than killing him in his sleep, she goes, okay, I live in the same place as this person. I'm terrified now because he's assaulted me once, and then he walks in the door, and she just around.
Oh yeah, and then
moment.
in a moment, just like
Mhm.
bops him over the head.
Yeah.
Bam.
I'm in favor of her actually using the gun, because that, to me, evens the score between a 15-year-old girl and possibly a 40-year-old adult man.
Oh, like she reaches for the gun and then without thinking,
Like,
just goes
it's like say the mayor is her stepdad or uncle, whatever, and she's
Uh-huh.
staying with him for whatever reason, yada yada yada. She knows where the gun is, and she figures out a way to find the gun and put it under her pillow, and she knows she's going to use it. He pops in, clicks the safety off, he goes, what the flip, and then boom, he's gondo.
As an Australian, this somewhat confuses me on the grounds that we don't have guns in households.
Well, let me describe it to you from someone who, I don't have any handguns, but
Many guns.
say it's a say.
He only
say the
has
handgun-
Uzis and Gatling guns.
No, say she has, say the family has a handgun and it's in the stepdad's quick safe, and keep in mind this is all backstory, so this is not going to go into the story, but he's got a quick safe,
Kind of.
and
Who has a-
she figures out the combination, and what'd you say?
Who just has a safe sitting in their house?
Oh, a quick safe. It's literally a safe made just for a handgun that can go in like a drawer in your dresser, and it's only got 4 buttons on it, and it's only got like 1 through 4, and it's got like a 3-button combination. And each one has a different like tactile feel to it, so you can do it in the dark. Boop boop boop, and the
But
top opens
the-
up. You can buy one for like $300.
But the argument that people make for having a gun is that it's protection. If it's in a safe, then it's no protection.
No, it
Yeah,
is
but you don't want
protection.
people breaking into the safe either.
So
It-
is it
it
better
takes
to
only
put it
about
like
6
under the
seconds.
bed in the
I
reach
think this
of
kind of goes into
children?
American gun culture here, so
It's
I
weird.
would
But this
just go
is-
with
this is
whatever
more of a
Dane
template.
says because he probably knows how it would look like.
I mean, I get it. That's what it would be, but it just doesn't track logically.
Don't try to argue with logic here.
That's why it's called a quick save. Until you've used one, I don't expect you to like really like. I'm not trying to like condescend, but like until you've used one, it's hard to like concept. But they're very quick. That's why it's called a quick save. They also have them for like long arms, where it's like instead of a safe, it's just like these 2 little clamps that clamp onto the gun under the bed, and you just hit your 3 buttons, and then it releases the gun, and you can grab it, shoot, blam, blam, blam. So,
Or rather,
and
if it's
Is this what it sounds like when a gun shoots? Blam blam blam.
That is
well,
exactly
my
what it
family's,
sounds.
my
Onomatopoeia.
family's sleeping, so I'm not gonna make it realistic.
Probably gonna make you deaf once you
Fair.
shot it in the house.
Yes, it will.
Let's pretend it's a Star Wars gun. Pew 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 pew.
Yeah, I don't-
Anyway,
Never shoot a gun without hearing protection. I did that once. Fortunately, it was just a 22, but even that tiny little gun, is very loud. I can't
Let me
imagine
see what you
shooting a.
have. A gun. No.
No,
Oh, wait
so
a minute,
I'm in
wait,
favor
wait.
of her.
Oh yeah, finish your thought first.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say that, in a lot of households, it's fairly common for a teenager to have access to the weapons. You know, when I was a kid, if I asked my mom and said, "Mom, can I see your gun?" Because my mom's was the one that hunted. She would say, "Sure."
what?
My mom was a hunter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when
Like a
Boom, boom.
headhunter or?
yes, no, like deer and turkeys.
Ah, yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, not a
Never
headhunter. No.
unusual.
No, but
Okay.
I mean, like, I knew where her gun was, and I knew where the bullets were. They weren't in the same place. But if I wanted to, as a 12-year-old, if I had wanted to, I didn't.
So
Um,
Do we need to?
I could grab the gun
fleshing
and
out
some
But can
cans.
I
and-
see your
backstory, or-
gun?
something
Okay.
something I'd like to suggest for the next little bit of writing that we do here. Instead of doing the next bit of continuation of story, we write the
Combination.
murder stories that we think might best
Hey.
fit, and
That's a good one.
we do this.
Yeah.
We do this from the perspective of the victim to give it the most emotional impact.
Okay, so now is
Right.
is this just a narrative story, or is this going to be like she's telling it in dialogue to
No.
Rovka?
This is just a short story that is either it could be just from her perspective, so it could be considered as a flashback in the story, or it could be from the victim's perspective. This is just exclusively so we can pick which one it is.
Okay,
It's
sounds
a
good.
short story for the short.
Yes, it's a
story.
short story to plan the short story.
It's a lore building story, so
Yes.
that's a
A
good
short
idea.
short story.
So let's keep the word count under 30,000 words.
Uh-huh. 30,000. You can't even write
Oh,
that
sorry,
much.
sorry, I meant 3,000.
I'm gonna say for this little murder conviction options story, 800 words or less.
And this
Okay.
is going to be this. It's the whole. The 800 words is the whole story,
Yes.
beginning, middle, and end.
This is
right?
the
Okay.
entire story.
Mm.
So this
Okay,
is
and I will make sure. The gun sounds are blam blam.
I will make
Okay.
it. I will make it 801 words out of spite.
So-
Why are you spiteful?
We still need to figure out what we're doing with the 2 different
I-
continuations for the first part, though.
Hey, Colin, would you consider doing a like me and you doing a merger? Like if you write a merge and I write a merge, and then we recompare them again? I'd be in favor of that because that'd be easy as well. Like I would do that in addition to the murder story.
I mean, we have. Can we get the 2 different, different continuations on screen for a short time?
that's yours.
That's
Colin?
Colin's.
Yeah. The question we have to answer though is, how will we end the continuation? Will it be with him basically sneaking out of the spacecraft because he knows what the Cassiblan would do to her, and he just can't watch her fall down this black hatch and not see her again? Or is he gonna snap when he sees what's actually gonna happen?
I think
Like, that's
realistically, it makes more sense to me for this to occur first, and then the same tone that occurs in this, and maybe some similar things occurring that happened in this story happening after, happening in this continuation, happening after this. So I would say maybe they stay in the ditch, wait for the searchlights to leave, and then they observe this scene.
basically this, yeah.
Yeah.
This is giving me strong Harriet Tubman vibes.
Everyone.
Wait, you guys know who
Harriet Tubman.
Yeah.
For some reason, I
Underground
thought you
Railroad.
were talking. For some reason, I thought Harriet Tubman for a second was like a children's book that I read a long time ago. I was like, "Oh, Dad, I know about the series you're talking about." And I was like, "Wait a minute, that's not right."
I'm sure there are lots of books written about her.
Yeah,
Now
I'm
that I
pretty
think
sure.
about it, you could really just put Cordain's story from a tonal point of view exactly after mine.
Yeah. It could
That's
be.
true.
Just you'd
Okay.
have to alter a few things just to just so that it's not contradictory.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, of
I'm
course,
I'm
but-
gonna see if I
Yeah.
can cook something up, and I'll send it to who wants to take a crack at it. I'm not gonna try murder. I'm gonna try an adaptation of mine on the end of Collins. So, and I'll send it to you guys when I get it done.
I'm gonna read
I'm
it for
going to
sure.
enjoy reading the murder story.
I'll probably read it.
All right. Probably read
Because I
it. You need
think
to commit now. If you don't commit now,
basically-
I'm gonna come
I will definitely
and
read it
uncle after you.
because
What?
I kind of have to.
Yes, you do. If you don't read it, Pun, I'm gonna send my mayor of Chicago uncle after you.
No,
Okay, so-
no, I
so-
don't want
so
to
the-
be.
So
You want
just
to do what?
for summary, the plan is we go with mine for the second part, and then Cordain
Yes.
basically rewrites his slightly so it works as the third part.
Yes.
Yeah,
We can try something like that. Yeah, that's what I'm going to attempt to do.
Because I
and
like
then
there's a lot of world building aspects in there that I really like, but I think they would fit better after the second
Okay.
part.
Well, the thing is, Colin, your part actually is a thriller that goes into a suspense, and
And his
this is
yeah.
quite suspenseful. So it actually
Yeah.
fits very well onto the end.